Welcome to a new edition of Patria Grande. I am Enrique Roblunski and I'm here again with our friend Juan Carlos Pocho Salcedo. Pocho, pleasure to have you again with us.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you, with the audience here in the U.S. and across the Americas. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
And we are in October, and something really important is happening now in October in Latin America. And I'm talking about the elections in Bolivia, elections that are a repeat of the national elections celebrated last year towards the end of 2019, elections that have been very contested, and with a transitional government that finally gets to call new elections now in a matter of 10 more days from today. Uh, Pocho, why don't you give us a brief view of Bolivia and how it came about to this stage and these new elections that we're having and why they are so important?
Well, thank you very much. Evo Morales, who is the main figure of these elections, actually is not running, but his shadow is all around the country and around these elections. He came to power. He came as a farmer who was ran the coca growers union. Came to power in 2006 from a very small town in Bolivia with no running water, with no electricity. Just he was a shepherd of a few goats and sheep actually, and from that he propelled over the years to a position of being a president of Bolivia, the longest lasting president of Bolivia, and from 2006 to 2019, Bolivia experienced the greatest and most amazing growth in its history. Uh, in 2018, from 2006 to 2018, he more than tripled the economy of the country. Uh, many people were pulled out from the poverty level. He won elections one after the other with incredible support. However, the problem started when, well, there were several problems, but the main problem started when in 2016 he wanted to, Bolivia only allows for 2 terms. He somehow managed to have a third term by a loophole on the new constitution. And then, since there were no other avenues, he called for a referendum if they could extend for indefinite elections his term. He did not win that referendum, but he decided to run anyway on account of that was a human right to be elected. And during those elections that were carried out in October of 2019, uh, he won, but there was a tremendous uproar in the country due to fraudulent elections, as per the observers that came from several countries, European Union, from the Organization of American States, that propelled a civil uh, uh, disruption in the country. The country went into a national strike for over 21 days and end up with Evo Morales fleeing to Mexico, and from Mexico now to Argentina. The most important thing of those years, in my opinion, is that he brought into the day-to-day flow of the nation peasants from all walks of life that were for the first time in control of the Senate, in control of the lower house, in at ministerial levels of all kinds. It was a huge change in Bolivia.
And then we have these contested elections in October of 2019, and we have manifestations from one side and the other side on the streets of Bolivia, and then the police and the military asked Evo Morales to step down so as to preserve social peace. And then we have this lady that assumes power in Bolivia, Janine Áñez. Who is she? Because I take that she was not in direct line to become president once the president steps down, correctly? Who,
Well, actually,
who is
this lady was obscure senator who happened to be the third vice president of the Senate. So when Evo Morales resigned, but let's not forget that Evo Morales resigned. So he resigned, and then his vice president resigned. The first president of the Senate resigned, and then through succession, the only one who didn't resign was this lady. So that was the only line of succession allowed by law. So he was propelled into power, and that is how she became president, totally unknown to most Bolivians. And she came with a mandate to call elections, but after the second or third month in power, she decided that she wants to run for elections, and that was the beginning of a tremendous, disastrous time in Bolivia because her administration was not able to deal with the problems at that time, and her popularity really went down to a point that she had to withdraw from the elections due to lack of support.
Yes, and let's remember that when she takes power last year, everything was done and set up so that there had to have elections in March of this year. Then, with the pandemic, and as you describe, poor management of the government in Bolivia, those elections are postponed, and they were postponed, I believe, until September, and then in
Yes,
September now until October, mid-October. Um, and now they have to be carried out correctly, because
correct.
why they have to be carried out now, mid-October?
Because let's say the commitment that all parties had was that for 2021 there was going to be a new president at the beginning of 2021. That was the political and legal agreement that all came after the elections of 2019 were nullified.
Mhm.
So, but nobody expected it was going to be from March to October, but so everybody wanted to meet that commitment.
And tell us a little bit about who's running, because I understand that there are several uh, people running for the presidency, Janine Añez being one of them who has resigned to or has stepped down in the last few days. But there are several contenders here. Who are they? Who do they represent?
I think there are three major contenders. The one heading the polls is the movement towards socialism, known as MAS. They are the party of Evo Morales and the party that was in power. And they have the only party that's really articulated. The other ones are coalition, citizens coalitions. Then the second in the polls is a group called the Citizens Community that is led by a former president of Bolivia, a historian uh, Carlos Mesa, who probably he will be a center left, and then you have one of the leaders of the movement that went against Evo Morales during the last few months of his uh, administration, Fernando Camacho, who represents the extreme right of Bolivia. So those are probably the three blocks now that are disputing the elections. Most likely, no one will have enough votes to win on the first round, so there will be a second round ballotage, and where probably it's estimated that the movement towards socialism and citizens community of the former president Carlos Mesa will be the big power.
And you have mentioned that during the 3 terms in government of MAS, this movement towards socialism, all the different social classes in Bolivia, particularly those that have been left behind historically, were integrated into the social and political fabric of the country. Uh, if the mass doesn't win the elections, do you think that new governments might try to go back into those advancements of society, on those rights that the different groups have gained over the years?
I think they might try some, but I don't think it is possible because everybody has recognized that those majorities were not represented, they were underrepresented. They are indeed a very powerful group that their time has come. And they represent several sectors. I mean, they are not just associated with the mass party. So we are. I don't think that they can reverse that. That they will have as much representation in the Senate and in the Chamber of Representatives. I don't know. It depends on the results of the election. But I don't think. I think that change has come to stay.
And what about the police and the military? Will they accept the results of the elections and uphold whoever becomes president?
Well, I will say that the police is a different case than the military. The police really stopped its support of the Evo Morales party because they decided not to crash the demonstrations that were all over the country. So there was almost a self-preservation on their part. And the military, although they intervened, they were highly criticized for not intervening early because there were a lot of riots. Houses were burned, people were killed, and they intervened. I think too late to restore order when it was almost impossible to restore. And I don't think Bolivians have much taste for military governments because they have suffered greatly during military dictatorships in the past.
Mhm. And remembering the 3 terms in office of the Mass Party, they won the elections with 52%,
Yes.
64%, and 62% of the popular vote. If in these elections the results are not this clear, if there is not such a strong popular vote in one direction or the other one, and it's 50.5, 51%. Do you think that it will be contended again and will have a repeat of this situation that Bolivia has been living from last September till now?
I really hope not, but I don't know what will happen. I think this uh, supreme, the so-called supreme electoral body, has a lot more presence in the country, is perceived as independent. The problem in the past was that everybody knew that the electoral authorities were in the, I mean, they were just part of the mass operation at the time. So hopefully, people realizing that this is a lot more independent of a body, that they will respect whatever result. I mean, it's if Bolivia will enter into a chaos forever if that happens. I hope it does.
Okay. And as you said in other opportunities, let's also hope that whoever wins, they really put first the interests of the country and the interests of the people more than the interest of their own ideologies.
Exactly. That's what democracy is all about, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I
exactly.
mean, otherwise there's no purpose on doing anything else. So that is the situation. We will know in a few days. Definitely an interesting case. We forgot to mention that that was the Morales administration was part of a huge movement at the time in Argentina with Kirchner, Lula in Brazil, Correa in Mexico, sorry, in Ecuador, and of course Chavez in Venezuela. So he was part. He's the last part of that movement, Evo Morales and his party.
Yes. And we also add in that list of the countries and presidents at the first 15 years of the new century, Michelle Bachelet in
Of
Chile,
course, yeah,
who
that's
was
correct.
also part, and Pepe Mujica, my
Pepe Mujica,
personal
of
hero,
course. How can I forget
my
those
my
two? Yeah,
hero.
yeah,
Pepe Mujica from Uruguay.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, but times are changing, and that's what democracy is all about. Let's wait, and probably we'll talk again about this after the elections. Thanks so much, Pocho, and we'll see you and all of you that follow Patria Grande again in our next episode. Till then, and we'll see you again. Bye. Thanks, Pocho.
Thank you.